Der 27. Januar, der Jahrestag der Befreiung des deutschen Konzentrations- und Vernichtungslagers Auschwitz-Birkenau, ist der internationale Gedenktag an die Opfer des Holocaust. Wie die Auschwitz-Überlebende Tova Friedman, die zum Gedenktag im Bundestag sprechen wird, und ihr Enkel Aaron Goodman dieses Gedenken auf TikTok hochhalten, darüber habe ich mit den beiden persönlich sprechen können. Good afternoon, Tova Friedman. Good afternoon, Aaron Goodman.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mrs. Friedman, for decades you didn't want to set foot on German soil, not even hear German, have anything to do with Germany. To be speaking now in front of the German parliament this week, marking the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, what does that mean to you?
What it means to me is, first of all, it's a fabulous surprise. I'm really very honored to be here. I am very happy to be here. And all the fears that I had before, they just don't exist anymore. And this is my third trip to Germany when I thought I wouldn't come back here at all.
And Mr. Goodman, when and how did your grandmother begin to tell you her story and her experiences of the Holocaust?
Her experiences were part of my life. The Holocaust was part of my upbringing. When I was a kid, she would share bedtime stories of when she was in Auschwitz. I even visited Auschwitz when I was younger. And so it's kind of been a part of my entire life. She started off slow, sharing a little bit of details, like she was a prisoner because I was a kid. It's hard to talk about death with children. And so as I grew up, she would share more and more details about her story.
Mrs. Friedman, you survived Auschwitz as a little girl. So many children didn't. How much do you feel an obligation towards those who didn't make it by telling your story?
I feel 100% obligation. I felt like this my entire life, even before I started speaking, that I do have to speak for those that aren't here because I'm here by accident and luck. And they just didn't have the same chance that I did. So I really have to be their memory. I have to speak for them, for 1.5 million children that have been murdered.
Mr. Goodman, how did you come up then with the idea of using TikTok as a platform for your grandmother's story?
I never even know what TikTok was. I'm not a media person. Most people my age aren't. But my grandson here, one evening after dinner in his house, he said, "Grandma," or Savta as he called me in Hebrew, "can you say a few words for about 1.5 minutes? Just talk into this little microphone." I said, 1.5 minutes? Of course. And he said, "Don't worry, nobody will even watch this." And I said, "Watch what?" And that's how it started, because we were surprised how many people did call and did answer that one first episode, we can say.
Yeah, I've been an avid user of social media my whole life. I grew up with it. And so I saw so much antisemitism and Holocaust denial and Holocaust construal on social media, specifically TikTok. And I saw that it was permitted and it was open and it was not being hidden. And so I thought, what can we do to better the education, the Holocaust education in the United States and in the world? So I started trying to fix the curriculum in my high school. I went around my high school and I asked people, what do you know about the Holocaust? Who is Hitler? What was Auschwitz? And these simple questions people couldn't answer. High school students couldn't answer. And so I figured my generation is learning so much from social media. How do we reach them directly? Because what's happening in schools isn't really enough. And so I started sharing a little bit about her story, about our visit to Auschwitz on social media. And over time, we were flooded with thousands of questions and about her story. And so people telling us they've never heard of the Holocaust before. So we kept posting and we answer questions directly from the audience and we share her story to try to educate people about the horrors of the Holocaust and the lessons that we can learn from them and how it still affects us today.
You raise a good point, Mr. Goodman. TikTok is also a social media platform that people use to spread hatred, Holocaust denial, anti-Semitism. How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, there's so much anti-Semitism, we should boycott, we should avoid it. But no, to me, when I see a lot of anti-Semitism, I don't think we should back away. I think we should, it means that we should be on the platform more, be more visible, and we need to reach people with the truth about the Holocaust before it can be distorted.
And Mrs. Friedman, how does
and he also shields me a lot, so that I don't get to know all the terrible anti-Semitic remarks, so that I can go on. But even if I knew them, he's right. We would continue doing it. We will continue educate people.
And Mrs. Friedman, how does it feel to have millions of people following your story on social media?
Yeah, that's really gratifying. And that's a shock to me and a surprise. I had no idea how many people would be interested. And most of all, they're not Jewish. They're young, they're teenagers, not Jewish teenagers around the world, from all over. And not only teenagers, but also teachers. Teachers have contacted us from all over the world asking if they can use some of the segments for their classes. It's been a very, very gratifying experience, and I hope we'll continue doing it. Although Aaron is now in college and he doesn't have so much time, but every time he comes home, we do some more. And I've met people who meet me on the street and say, "Oh, we're following you. We want to hear more." And this is completely what Aaron did.
We're reaching hundreds of millions of people around the world. And it's important because we're reaching people who don't have access to Holocaust education material. Teachers in countries like Australia, India, and Azerbaijan have reached out to us and asked us to provide them with material for their classes because the teachers themselves don't know how to teach the Holocaust. Students in certain areas in the world have never heard of the Holocaust, have never heard of a survivor or heard of a Jewish person. And so we're using social media to reach people who otherwise wouldn't have the tools to learn about the Holocaust.
Yeah, and some of them tell us they have never met a Holocaust survivor. So we're trying to make, at least Aaron is sort of making it very personal. So I talk as if directly to them, and not long, just enough to get their attention and tell them one or two stories. And then the next time we continue. We don't want to bore them. We don't want to saturate them with knowledge they may not be interested in. So it's been a very, very gratifying experience.
And if you look at the situation today, Mrs. Friedman, what is your reaction to anti-Semitism rising again, both in Europe and also in the US?
It's a terrible thing right now, and especially for us Holocaust survivors. You know, it brings back terrible memories. But to me, it brings out, I would say, an anger. People ask me if I'm scared. No, I'm not scared. I just feel, no, not again, not again. We can't be blamed again for things, for the world's issues and problems, and the terrible things that some of the groups chant. You know, like go back to Auschwitz, or you should have been gassed. They don't know what they're talking about. So I feel the more there is anti-Semitism, the more I have to speak, and I speak anywhere, anytime, if somebody asks me.
Jewish people around the world are afraid. They're afraid to show that they're Jewish. And so our biggest message is don't be a bystander. When you see anti-Semitism, or when you see someone trying to intimidate Jewish people, either online or in person, stand up against it. Be proud of, whether you're Jewish or not, be proud of what you believe in and stand up for what's right.
Right, and I most of all love when a church invites me, because we need, you know, it's obvious that Jews are for Jews. that's pretty expected. But what I want to do is to talk to the non-Jewish world and to explain to them and be part of their lives, and they should become part of my life. We have to get to know each other so that we become real people. And it's very hard to destroy real people. That's why I got a number in Auschwitz. They couldn't kill me by my name, but they could kill me by my number. So having a personal relationship with somebody is what maybe will help with this terrible anti-Semitism.
Now, the videos that the two of you produce are not only about remembering the past, what happened, but also sending a message for the future. Mrs. Friedman, what do you hope for going into the future?
Yes, remembering the past, and what do I want as a question is how I envision the future.
What are your hopes? What are you hoping for?
Okay, I want to tell you, first of all, we have too many books written about anti-Semitism and so forth. We really have to be proactive. Proactive is to physically go out there. If you have to demonstrate, if you have to get to know the anti-Semites, if you have to speak everywhere, whether you're a Holocaust survivor or not, as long as you're against anti-Semitism, and help the professors at the university to see the terrible things that they're doing if they're siding with some of the anti-Semites, and many universities do, to remind them that that's how it started in the 1930s. It started in the universities with the burning of books. We cannot have a repeat of that. I think we have to have an awareness, and everyone should be out there. Everyone who is against killing one people, whether you're against blacks, whether you're against yellow, whatever you're against, or Jews, that this is the worst thing for humanity. And that if you are against one group, the chances are another group will be singled out also. So that I think everybody has to realize, Jews and non-Jews, the terrific danger that our whole civilization is now, country by country.
So what gives you hope and motivates you going into the future?
There are good people. That's what gives me hope. I mean, after all, I was liberated in Auschwitz. There were people who came and liberated me. They liberated my father, my mother. Many were killed, of course, but many were liberated. There is hope that there are people out there who are against any kind of prejudice, whether it's Jews or not Jews, and whether it's whoever, and that these people will become part, of the army, let's call them, an army of trying to save this planet, because it is so widespread.
What gives us hope as well is looking through our social media, our TikTok, and seeing people who call out anti-Semitism online, who are not afraid to stand up and say what you are saying is anti-Semitic, what you're saying is wrong, hateful, and harmful. And so what gives us hope is seeing people do the right thing, standing up and not apologizing for it.
And then educating people about Jews, about anti-Semitism, about its dangers, that education will have an effect eventually.
Mrs. Friedman, Mr. Goodman, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to share your story. Thank you very much, and all the best to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Du hast das Video bis zu Ende geschaut? Dann kannst du auch ein Abo dalassen.